Hey everyone, Robert here, author of Expansion Mastery, the practical guide to living a fully engaged life. Are you ready to start living your life to the fullest? Are you ready and willing to transform yourself and your life from ordinary to extraordinary? Would you like to embody the virtues of a phenomenal human being? Welcome, my friends, to the Fully Engaged Life. Welcome back to the show, my friends, and welcome to installment number 5 in this new series. In today's episode, we're going to pick up where we left off with these virtues. So let's dive right into it. Virtue number 4, honor. While at first it may seem that honesty, which we ended with in the last episode, and honor are a bit redundant, I encourage you to examine each of them within their own context. Sure, you need one to have the other. All of these virtues are interwoven. They are all interdependent on one another. But they also give us a way to look more deeply into this area of our character. Here we will separate honesty and honor as a way to examine each of them more closely. From a martial arts perspective, such as those of the samurai, honor was held as something sacred. And it is this sense of sacredness within ourselves that allows us to be expansive. Honor is something that is not only in short supply here today, but something in many modern societies that's not even considered anymore. Honor can be looked at as a code through which we conduct ourselves, the way we live our lives. When we speak and act with honor, we create a positive, trustworthy reputation. When we fail to speak or act with honor, we then become viewed as dishonorable and untrustworthy. It's quite easy then to realize that when we are acting with a sense of honor, we are in a state of expansion. And when we are not, when we are dishonorable, that is a state of contraction. Within certain cultures in the past, to act dishonorably would bring shame upon not only yourself, but your entire family for generations to come. And this would affect the way they lived their lives. This is obviously no longer the case in the U.S., as all of the focus is upon individualism, which serves to bolster the ego through the illusion of separatism. To be a person of honor today means that others can trust your word and they can depend on your actions. You are truthful, trustworthy, and dependable. On another level, to be a person of honor means that you have certain principles and morals that you will not sacrifice or compromise in any way. You have a particular, well-thought-out set of personal morals through which you conduct yourself. This affects the way you think, the things you say, and the actions you take. In this way, they help guide you through life. You're willing to fight for these principles rather than have them compromised. It's when you view life as something larger than just your sense of self. It's about standing for something and standing up for that something whenever necessary. Not out of egoic defiance, but out of a sense of knowing in your heart what is right. Honor is said to be a direct reflection of our personal character and the way in which we conduct ourselves personally and in business, in our career, in our relationships, every facet of our lives. How then can we be honorable in today's society? By doing the right thing at all times, by upholding our principles and morals, and by acting in service of others whenever possible. Honor may seem to be an outdated concept, but in reality it is one that allows us to embody a greater sense of expansion in our life. Take a moment, sit back, and consider just how much better you and the world might be if we all acted with a greater sense of honor. Virtue number 5, loyalty. This is yet another virtue that has been all but lost in today's society. It's easy to observe the lack of loyalty in modern society. Doesn't take much. But loyalty is a powerful characteristic. It could even be considered to be a state of mind. When we have a sense of loyalty to others, we are living in a state of expansion. Loyalty gives birth to trust, sincerity, and friendship. It can be stated that one's degree of loyalty is actually a measure of their honor, and it requires a deep sense of courage. Let's look at a few examples here of loyalty. If we begin by using martial arts as an example, we can see that in the past, and this is something that very few, but there are still a few masters require. In order to train in martial arts, you need to take a blood oath, a pledge of loyalty to the teacher and the style. Today, training in martial arts is usually nothing more than a consumerist social activity where one goes in, throws their money down, and then plays around for about an hour. The same holds true for many businesses. Some businesses look out for their employees, and the employees are loyal to the company. While that may seem like a very foreign concept to those of us in the West, it's because, well, for the most part it is. However, it's quite prominent in Japan. It's quite different than the Western mentality where the management in many businesses consider the employees to be a dime a dozen, and the employees often look for ways to get over on the company, and it's a matter of us against them and greed, and it's not a good working environment. It's glaringly obvious as to which version of business is expansive and which is working in contraction. We can also see the lack of loyalty in many romantic relationships with the amount of infidelity that takes place and the high divorce rates. Human beings need to reestablish a sense of loyalty. This helps to guide us through life. Now, please understand, I am not referring to blind loyalty. This is a problem. When we have blind loyalty, that's when this virtue has been taken to the negative extreme. Loyalty is a virtue that requires those you are vowing to be loyal to have similar virtues and morals as you do. You need to be aligned with them in order to be loyal to them. Here's something to reflect upon in regards to loyalty. Who do you have in your life that you're loyal to? I mean, fiercely loyal. Is there anyone that you are so intensely loyal to that you would die for them? Now, that may seem a little extreme, but in reality, it indicates your degree of loyalty. Is there anyone in your life you feel that strongly towards? I know I have several. Here's another way we can reflect upon loyalty. When was the last time, if ever, that you took the blame for something someone else did out of loyalty to them? Have you ever done so for someone simply in order to allow them to save face in front of others? When we have loyalty towards others, that is expansion, because we are looking at others, placing them before ourselves, and that is expansive. In order to develop loyalty, we need to first become loyal to ourselves. This can be achieved in several ways. For instance, when you tell yourself you're going to do something, do it. Follow through. Don't allow the ego to weaken your resolve or cause you to change your mind and take the easy way out. It's a simple way to start to develop a sense of personal loyalty. Once we develop personal loyalty, it's then much easier to be loyal to someone else. Take a moment to consider just how much better the world could be if people had a greater sense of loyalty. Virtue number 6, benevolence. This is a wonderful virtue that it seems many fail to even grasp its meaning these days. So this is an important one to consider. Benevolence could be best understood as a balance of strength and compassion or kindness. It's not the new age fluffy or woke culture of giving everyone what they want according to their latest misguided whim, but about having the wisdom and strength to give someone what they need. It may not be what they want, but it is what they need. This is the idea of teaching a person to fish so that they can feed themselves every day instead of giving them a fish so they can eat only today. Benevolence is a direct reflection of how to be a good person, a good human being, and to treat others well, as we should be doing. The ability to lend a hand to someone, maybe someone you don't even know, just because they might need it, that's what we should be doing. It's acting with kindness and compassion without expecting anything at all in return, instead of acting from the ego or trying to get over on someone or taking advantage of them in some way. If you notice someone struggling physically, maybe they're elderly or they have a disability, you lend them your strength. You give strength to those who lack it. And you do so in a way that is kind and respectful. Benevolence requires us to behave without ego, so that our compassion is true. When we give our strength and compassion to others, we are acting in expansion. As we continue to become more mentally and physically powerful as human beings, especially if you train in a martial art or spiritual system, we need to balance that with compassion. Strength needs to be balanced with compassion. And this is why many warriors in ancient times would study something like poetry or reading or painting or flower arranging or something like that as a way to balance all of their warrior skills. All of these activities are expansive in nature. When we lack such things, and we lack personal strength, and we lack compassion and kindness, that is to live in contraction. Take a moment and reflect upon how much better the world could be if we all embraced the virtue of benevolence. Now it is time for virtue number 7, courage. Some people have it, others don't. Some can develop it, but there are still those who will never attain it. In my observations of people today, it's easy to see how there is such a lack of overall courage. All too often today, courage is confused with stupidity. There seems to be 3 types of people regarding the virtue of courage: those who are courageous, those who are cowardice, and those who are numb and indifferent and don't know the difference. The decline of courage in modern society comes from life being so easy. Indeed, it's so easy for many that they live in fear all their lives. It seems like a strange contradiction, but it happens because they are never faced with challenges in life that produce a sense of self-confidence and self-reliance, and both of those are needed to produce courage. All too often, parents give the child everything and do everything for them. And we see this by people in their 30s, 40s, even 50s, still living at home, most living off of their parents. And this is a product of the parents giving them whatever they want, whenever they want, and doing everything for them. This produces a bunch of spoiled, lazy, and yes, even mentally ill brats of all ages. This leads to the growing socialist problem we have developing in this country right now. Human beings need challenges. We need hardships and personal struggles. These are the things that build our character. and the virtue of courage. We need to be faced with such things so we can overcome them and have the confidence we need in ourselves in order to develop courage. Without that sense of confidence, there can be no courage. We can see through these behaviors that courage is expansion and cowardice is contraction. Courage comes from our spirit, not our mind, although it requires both mental and physical stamina to be applied in the real world. That's why in martial arts we refer to it as a fighting spirit. The stronger your fighting spirit, the greater your sense of courage. The stronger mind and body give you the necessary tools to back up that courage. Courage is having the strength to persevere, to have the guts to do what needs to be done, to never stop, to never quit, to never surrender, to never give up, to never give in. It's also about having the ability to take a chance once in a while instead of always opting for the safety of our comfort zone or hiding away from change. I recently overheard someone, it was in an interview or something, I don't remember exactly what it was, but I heard them explain how human beings today have it so easy that people are literally, and I'm quoting here, entertaining themselves to death, unquote. I found that to be very true and incredibly fascinating to think about. When we lack normal life trials and tribulations, we end up with so much free time we don't know what to do with it. And a lot of human beings like to take the easiest possible route, so they sit. This gives way to such things as the entertainment addiction. And I've addressed that in previous podcasts. And this happens because people have life so easy today with so much free time that they now just sit around and stare at the screens, watching television, looking at things on their computer, especially their phones, watching movies, sports, social media, and all the other garbage that's out there right now is a great way to entertain yourself to death if you don't get a handle on it and make sure that you do it in moderation. It's not a bad thing to watch a game or watch a movie or something, but when the majority of your day is spent looking at junk on YouTube and Facebook and all of that, it's a problem. You are literally entertaining yourself to death. To have the courage to live life is expansion. To hide away behind entertainment is a state of contraction. Those who lack a sense of courage, that live their life in fear, seem to be the most vulnerable, the most easily enticed by this form of addiction. I contend that on the road to entertaining themselves to death, people are also entertaining themselves into a state of being programmed and even insanity. When one hides in entertainment because they are too afraid to confront and live their life, they are living in a state of contraction. And we see this with the confusion between fantasy and reality. We see this with the absurd amount of what is called LARPing, I'm told, out there right now, which serves as a way to hide from reality, to hide from life by confusing the fantasy of movies and various forms of entertainment with reality. And we have to understand that entertainment is a wonderful thing in moderation, but not when it becomes our life. We're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be living, especially if you have any inclination towards living a fully engaged life. Having the courage to live that life is very important. As I've shared so many times, to step onto the spiritual path is going to require a great amount of courage, an amount of courage many people simply do not possess. But there are those who do, those who are ready to engage in expansion. And there are ways for us to increase our courage. Face some of the trials and tribulations, day-to-day problems that we have. Find challenges and conquer them. This is one of the reasons why I used the term challenge for all of the exercises and practices in my book. And if you're looking for another way to increase your sense of courage, I would offer something that I teach to martial arts students and clients of Expansion Mastery alike. This is simply abdominal breathing. Abdominal breathing is one of the best ways to help to begin establishing a greater sense of courage. It does so by helping to keep your energy down in the midsection instead of allowing it to rise when you are under pressure, especially extreme pressure. This can help to remain calm and centered under stress. And I have taught the process of abdominal breathing or diaphragmatic breathing in a previous podcast, so you can look that up. I've covered it many times. It's a part of every mental and spiritual practice that I engage in. So we need to become courageous in order to live life. And we need even a little bit more courage if we are going to actually live a fully engaged life. Take a moment to sit back and think to yourself just how much more enjoyable your life would be if you had just a little more courage, maybe a lot. Think about how much better the world could be if people had a normal sense of courage. Take a moment and contemplate for yourself just how much better of a human being we could be if we embodied all 7 of these virtues. Think about how much better the world would be as a whole if people embodied these virtues, even just a little bit. Take time to contemplate for yourself how the nature of all of these virtues result in expansion, where the lack of them results in contraction. And that will lead us towards treating one another the way we should be doing. It starts with each one of us, starts with each individual, and only then can it ripple outwards. Embrace these virtues, live these virtues, and become the best human being you can be so you can live a fully engaged life. Please make sure to visit me at www.expansionmastery.com. You can get an autographed copy of Expansion Mastery, all kinds of other good things there, some audio programs and such. I'll be adding some more things hopefully soon. And make sure that you support us on social media. Do all the stuff we need to do, the like, subscribe, shares, all of that stuff now. That helps us out so much, and I appreciate each and every one of you doing that. I've seen an increase in that lately, and all of you have my greatest appreciation. Thank you so much for helping us. And until next time, my friends, I wish you the very best in your practices, in your ability to attain these virtues, and your life. Take care.